I'm Lucy, and I'm 70 years old. I live in a small house on the edge of rural Wisconsin, where the fields stretch out like quilts and the nearest neighbor is a quarter-mile down the road. I share this house with my two dogs, Rusty and Bella. Most people my age are surrounded by family, grandchildren running around, children stopping by for Sunday dinner, photo albums filled with reunion pictures. I have photo albums too, but they tell a different story. They tell the story of a woman who learned, slowly and sometimes painfully, that the word family doesn't always mean what we think it means. And they tell the story of how two dogs gave me more love, more loyalty, and more of a sense of belonging than the people who shared my blood ever did. This isn't a story I tell easily. For most of my life, I kept quiet about the truth of my family. You're supposed to love your family. You're supposed to make it work. You're supposed to forgive and forget and keep trying. And I did try. Lord knows I tried for decades. But at some point, you have to face the truth. Some families just don't work the way they're supposed to. Some families hurt more than they heal. I'm not writing this to complain or to make anyone feel sorry for me. I'm writing this because I think there are other people out there, maybe a lot of them, who feel the same way I do, who love their dogs not just because dogs are wonderful, which they are, but because their dogs are the only ones who've ever made them feel truly loved, truly seen, truly valued just for being themselves. So let me tell you my story. Let me tell you about family, about disappointment, about loneliness, and about how two dogs changed everything. I grew up in a family of 5, my parents, my 2 older brothers, and me. On paper, we probably looked normal enough. Dad worked at the grain elevator, Mom kept house and worked part-time at the church office. We went to services every Sunday. We had dinner together most nights. From the outside, we looked like a regular Midwestern family. But inside those walls, love was conditional. Affection was rationed. Approval had to be earned, and the standards were impossible to meet. My mother was a cold woman. I don't say that to be cruel. It's just the truth. She showed love through criticism, always pointing out what you'd done wrong, what could be better, how you'd disappointed her. My father was distant, buried in his newspaper or his work, present in body, but absent in every way that mattered. My brothers were typical boys, I suppose, but they learned early that the way to get Dad's attention was to excel at sports and make fun of their little sister. I was never pretty enough, never quiet enough, never helpful enough, never anything enough. I remember being maybe 8 or 9 years old, so excited to show my mother a picture I'd drawn at school. The teacher had put a gold star on it. I was so proud, I ran home and showed it to my mother, and you know what she said? She looked at it for about 3 seconds and said, "The sky isn't that shade of blue. Skies are lighter. You should pay more attention to how things really look." That was it. No good job or I'm proud of you or even just a smile. Just correction, just pointing out what was wrong. That's how it always was. Every report card, every school play, every small achievement, there was always something wrong with it, something that could have been better. And eventually, I stopped trying to please them. I stopped showing them my drawings. I stopped telling them about my day. I stopped expecting them to care. My brothers got married and moved away as soon as they could. We weren't close. We never had been. They had their own families now, their own lives. We exchanged Christmas cards, and that was about it. When my parents got older and needed help, guess who they called? Not my brothers. Me, the daughter they'd spent my entire childhood criticizing, the one they'd never seemed particularly fond of. But I was the unmarried one, the one without children, the one they assumed had nothing better to do than drop everything and take care of them. And I did it. I took care of my mother through her final illness. I was there for every doctor's appointment, every hospital stay, every difficult night. And you know what? She never thanked me. Not once. Even at the end, even when she was dying, she couldn't bring herself to say she loved me or that she appreciated what I was doing. When she died, my brothers came back for the funeral. We divided up her things. They took what they wanted and left. We barely spoke. At the reception after the funeral, I stood there with a plate of ham sandwiches and potato salad, watching my brothers laugh with their families, and I felt more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. That's when I knew. I didn't really have a family. I had relatives. I had people who shared my DNA, but I didn't have what family is supposed to be. People who love you, who support you, who want to be around you, who make you feel like you belong. About 6 months after my mother's funeral, I was at the grocery store in town. I was loading bags into my car when I heard whimpering. I looked around and saw a puppy, couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 months old, tied to a post near the entrance, golden-colored, skinny, shaking despite the warm day. I went over to him. He looked up at me with these big, frightened eyes. There was a cardboard sign leaned against the post, "Free to Good Home." I waited there for 20 minutes, but nobody came. The puppy kept whimpering, kept straining against the rope, kept looking at every person who walked by as if hoping one of them was coming back for him. I'd never had a dog before. My mother didn't allow pets. Too messy, too much work, too much everything. I was 60 years old, and I'd never had a single pet in my entire life. I didn't know the first thing about taking care of a dog. But I couldn't just leave him there. I couldn't walk away from those eyes. So I untied him, put him in my car, and took him home. I stopped at the feed store on the way and bought food, bowls, a collar, a leash, all the things I figured a dog would need. The clerk gave me advice. I must have looked as clueless as I felt. I named him Rusty because of his golden red color. That first night he cried. He was scared, missing whoever had abandoned him, confused about where he was. I didn't know what to do, so I did the only thing I could think of. I sat on the floor next to him and talked to him softly until he stopped crying and fell asleep. The next morning, he woke up to him licking my face. His tail was wagging so hard his whole back end was wiggling. He was so happy to see me, like I was the best thing that had ever happened to him. I'd just given him food and a place to sleep, and he looked at me like I'd hung the moon. That's when it started. That's when I began to understand what I'd been missing my entire life. Those first few months with Rusty were a learning experience for both of us. I'd never trained a dog before. He'd never lived in a house before, apparently. We made mistakes. He had accidents on the floor. He chewed up a pair of my shoes. He knocked over a lamp with his tail. But here's the thing. Even when he made mistakes, even when he did something wrong, I never stopped loving him. And that feeling was new to me. I'd grown up believing that love had to be earned through perfect behavior, that you had to be good enough to deserve affection. But with Rusty, it didn't work that way. When he had an accident on the floor, I cleaned it up and taught him to go outside. I didn't berate him or make him feel worthless. I didn't compare him to other dogs and tell him how much better they were. I just taught him, patiently, and loved him through the learning. And he loved me back, unconditionally, completely, even when I made mistakes, and I made plenty of them, learning how to be a dog owner. I fed him the wrong food at first, and he got an upset stomach. I didn't realize he needed certain vaccines. I took him for walks that were too long for his puppy legs. But he never held any of it against me. He never looked at me with disappointment or judgment. He just kept loving me, kept being excited to see me, kept following me from room to room just to be near me. Every morning, I'd wake up to him sleeping on the floor beside my bed. The moment I stirred, his tail would start thumping against the floor. Every single morning, like he'd been waiting his whole life just to see me wake up. When I came home from errands, even if I'd only been gone 20 minutes, he greeted me like I'd returned from war, jumping, spinning, making these sounds of pure joy. And it hit me one day, standing in my doorway while this dog celebrated my return from the post office. This is what it feels like to be loved. This is what it feels like to matter to someone. My family had never made me feel this way. My parents had never run to greet me, excited just to see me. My brothers had never looked at me like my presence was a gift. No one in my family had ever made me feel like my existence brought joy into their world. But this dog did. This puppy I'd rescued from a post outside a grocery store made me feel more loved, more valued, more important than my own family ever had. Rusty grew from a puppy into a beautiful dog, golden and gentle, with a soft mouth and softer eyes. He became my companion, my shadow, my constant presence. The house didn't feel so empty anymore with him in it. I started looking forward to mornings because of our walks. We'd go out early, before the heat of the day, and walk the dirt roads around my property. Rusty would trot beside me, stopping to sniff interesting smells, always circling back to check on me if he got too far ahead. Those walks became my favorite part of the day. Out there in the quiet, with just my dog and the birds and the rustling corn, I felt peaceful in a way I'd never felt before. Rusty didn't care that I was old, that I was alone, that my family didn't want much to do with me. He just cared that we were together, experiencing this moment. He taught me to notice things, the way morning light looks coming through trees, the sound of wind through the fields, the feeling of soft fur under your hand, the simple pleasure of throwing a ball and watching someone you love chase it with complete abandon. I started talking to him, really talking. I'd tell him about my day, my thoughts, my memories. I told him things I'd never told anyone, about my childhood, about feeling unwanted, about the loneliness that had followed me through my whole life. He'd sit there and listen, his head cocked slightly, those intelligent eyes watching my face. He didn't judge, he didn't interrupt, he didn't minimize my feelings or tell me I was being too sensitive. He just listened and stayed close. And slowly, without me even realizing it was happening, I started to heal. The wounds from my childhood, from my cold mother and distant father, from my indifferent brothers, they didn't disappear, but they hurt less. Because every day, Rusty showed me that I was lovable, that I was worthy of affection and attention and devotion, that my company was something to be desired, not tolerated. My brothers still barely called, once or twice a year maybe, quick calls on my birthday or Christmas, awkward conversations where we had nothing to say to each other. They'd ask how I was, I'd say fine, and that would be about it. They never visited. They never invited me to visit them. We were strangers who happened to share parents. It used to hurt so much, but with Rusty, it hurt less, because I wasn't alone anymore. I had someone who wanted to be with me, who chose to be with me every single day. When Rusty was 7, I went to the animal shelter to drop off some old blankets I'd collected for them. I'd been doing that for years, gathering blankets from thrift stores, washing them, and donating them to the shelter. It felt good to help animals who were waiting for homes. While I was there, one of the volunteers asked if I wanted to walk through and see the dogs. I didn't need another dog. Rusty was enough, and I was getting older, wondering how much longer I could handle the physical demands of dog care. But I said yes anyway. That's when I saw her, a small terrier mix, maybe 20 pounds, cowering in the back corner of her kennel. The volunteer told me she'd been there for 4 months. Someone had found her wandering on the highway and brought her in. She was scared of everything and everyone. People would come to look at dogs, and she'd press herself into the corner, shaking. "We're running out of time with this one," the volunteer said quietly. "She's been here too long, and she's not getting better. She won't let anyone touch her. We can't keep her forever." I knew what that meant. I'd been volunteering long enough to know. They'd have to make space for more adoptable dogs eventually. I asked if I could go into the kennel. The volunteer looked doubtful, but opened the door. I sat down on the concrete floor, not approaching the dog, just sitting quietly. After a few minutes, I started talking to her, soft, low, telling her about Rusty, about my house, about the fields where we walked. She watched me, still pressed against the wall, still shaking but watching. I came back the next day and did the same thing, and the next day, and the day after that. On the 5th day, she took a step toward me. Just one step, but it was something. By the end of the 2nd week, she was letting me touch her. By the end of the 3rd week, she'd crawl into my lap and tremble there while I petted her. I adopted her on a Thursday afternoon. I named her Bella because underneath all that fear, I could see she was beautiful. Bringing her home was harder than bringing Rusty home had been. Rusty had been a confused puppy. Bella was a traumatized adult dog who'd clearly been hurt by humans before. She flinched at sudden movements. She wouldn't eat if anyone was watching. She hid under the bed for the first 3 days. Rusty helped. He seemed to understand she was scared. He'd lie near her hiding spots, not crowding her, just being a calm presence. Sometimes I'd see her nose poke out from under the bed, sniffing toward him. It took months, but slowly Bella started to trust, started to come out, started to believe that this was safe, that I was safe, that she didn't have to be afraid anymore. Watching her transformation was one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed. The first time she wagged her tail, I cried. The first time she brought me a toy wanting to play, I cried. The first time she jumped up on the couch to sit beside me instead of hiding under the furniture, I cried. Because I understood her. I understood what it was like to go through life afraid, believing you weren't wanted, believing you didn't deserve good things. I understood what it was like to be hurt by the people who were supposed to take care of you. And I understood what it was like to finally find a place where you were safe, where you were loved, where you could be yourself without fear. Now I'm 70 years old. Rusty is slowing down. He's 10 now, gray around the muzzle, sleeping more, moving a little stiffly in the mornings. Bella is 5 and still has plenty of energy, though she's calmed down a lot from those early frightened days. My brothers still barely call. One of them has health problems now. The other one's wife left him. They don't tell me these things. I hear about them through the town grapevine. We're not the kind of family that shares our problems with each other. We're barely the kind of family that acknowledges each other's existence. And you know what? I'm okay with that now. I spent so many years trying to earn their love, trying to be good enough, trying to matter to them. But I don't need to do that anymore, because I have a family. They have 4 legs and tails, but they're my family in every way that matters. Every morning, I wake up to 2 dogs who are genuinely happy to see me, not obligated to acknowledge me, not doing it out of duty or social convention, genuinely, truly happy that I'm awake and they get to spend another day with me. Every evening, we sit together on the couch, Rusty on one side, Bella on the other, both of them pressed against me. They don't need anything from me in those moments. They just want to be close. They choose my company over everything else, every single time. When I'm sad, they know. They press closer, rest their heads on my lap, look at me with concern in their eyes. They can't fix what's making me sad, but they can be there with me, and somehow that helps more than words ever could. When I'm happy, they're happy too. Their tails wag, they get excited. My joy becomes their joy, as if my happiness is the best gift they could receive. They never criticize me. They never compare me to other people and find me lacking. They never make me feel like I'm not good enough or that I'm disappointing them. They love me exactly as I am, a 70-year-old woman with arthritis in her knees and gray in her hair, and nothing particularly special about her except that I'm their person. You know what I've realized? The love my dogs give me is the love I'd always wanted from my human family. It's the love every child deserves from their parents, every sibling deserves from their brothers and sisters, every person deserves from the people they call family. It's unconditional. It doesn't come with strings attached or hoops to jump through. It doesn't have to be earned through perfect behavior or achievements or being someone you're not. It's consistent. I don't have to wonder if they love me today or worry that I've done something to lose their affection. It's always there, as reliable as the sunrise. It's demonstrated. They don't just claim to love me in theory, they show it every single day through their actions, through their excitement when I come home, through following me from room to room, through choosing to be near me, through the way they look at me like I'm the most important person in the world. It's forgiving. When I make mistakes, and I still make them, they don't hold grudges. They don't bring it up later to make me feel guilty. They don't punish me with silence or coldness. They just move on, love intact. It's present. When I'm with my dogs, they're really with me, not distracted, not thinking about other things they'd rather be doing, not wishing they were somewhere else. They're here, now, fully engaged with me. It's accepting. They don't want me to change. They don't have a vision of who I should be that I'm failing to live up to. They love who I am right now, in this moment, exactly as I am. This is what love is supposed to be, and I spent 60 years of my life not knowing what it felt like because my human family couldn't or wouldn't give it to me. But my dogs can. My dogs do, every single day. People who don't have dogs probably think I'm crazy. Maybe I am. Maybe it's strange that my best friends have 4 legs and can't talk. Maybe it's sad that I prefer their company to human company most of the time. But I don't think it's strange or sad. I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful that every morning Rusty stretches himself out like he's trying to touch both ends of the hallway, and then he looks at me with this expression like, "Good morning. Can you believe how lucky we are to have another day?" And I think he's right. We are lucky. I think it's beautiful that Bella, who used to be so scared of everything, now greets me with her whole body wiggling when I come back from checking the mail. That she trusts me enough now to be joyful, to be vulnerable, to show her happiness openly. I think it's beautiful that my dogs don't care that I'm not rich. They don't care that I live in a small house on the edge of nowhere. They don't care that I never became anything important or impressive. They think our walks are exciting. They think our house is perfect. They think I'm wonderful just because I exist. I think it's beautiful that they've taught me to find joy in simple things: throwing a ball, taking a walk, sitting in the sunshine, scratching behind ears. These aren't grand gestures or expensive experiences, but they matter. They matter so much. My human family never appreciated simple things. Everything had to be impressive, had to mean something, had to serve a purpose. A walk was just exercise. Sitting together was wasting time. Affection was something you gave if someone deserved it, not just because you felt like it. But my dogs have shown me that the simple things are actually everything. That sitting together doing nothing is quality time. That a walk isn't just exercise, it's adventure, exploration, companionship. That affection doesn't need to be earned or deserved, it can just be given freely, because love is abundant, not scarce. Living with Rusty and Bella has taught me things about myself that I never knew before. I learned that I'm capable of patience. With Bella especially, I had to learn to move slowly, to let her come to me on her terms, not to push or force or demand. My mother never had patience with me. Everything was always hurry up and why is this taking so long? But with Bella, I found reserves of patience I didn't know I had. I learned that I'm capable of nurturing. I'd never taken care of anything before. My mother never taught me how to be gentle or caring. She ruled through criticism and correction. But with my dogs, I found that I could be tender. I could be comforting. I could provide care and warmth and safety. I learned that I'm capable of joy. For so many years, I went through life in shades of gray, not terribly unhappy, but not really happy either, just existing. But watching Rusty chase a ball or seeing Bella roll in the grass or feeling them both pile onto the couch with me, these things bring me genuine, uncomplicated joy. I learned that I'm worthy of love. This was the hardest lesson and the most important. I spent my whole life believing that I wasn't quite good enough to be loved, that there was something wrong with me that made me unlovable. My family's coldness seemed like proof of this. But my dogs love me. They love me so much it radiates from them, and they're not wrong about me. They're not confused or mistaken. They see something in me that's worth loving. And you know what? They're right. I am worth loving. I always was. My family was wrong about me, not the other way around. Rusty is getting old. I know this. I see it in the way he struggles to get up sometimes, in the way he sleeps more deeply and doesn't always hear me call him right away, in the gray that's spread from his muzzle to cover most of his face. I know that I'm going to lose him someday, probably someday soon. Dogs don't live as long as people, and he's already beaten the average lifespan for his breed. Every day with him now feels precious because I know our time is limited. This knowledge hurts. It sits in my chest like a stone sometimes. I'll be watching him sleep and I'll think about what it'll be like when he's not here anymore, and the grief hits me even though he's still alive, still breathing, still here. But I don't regret adopting him. I don't wish I'd never known him just to avoid the pain of losing him. The joy he's brought me, the love he's given me, the ways he's healed me and changed me, all of that is worth the grief that's coming. My mother died, and I felt mostly relief. Relief that I didn't have to try to please her anymore, relief that I didn't have to endure her criticism anymore, relief that the cold war of our relationship was finally over. There was grief too, but it was complicated grief. Grief for the relationship we never had, grief for the mother I'd wished for but never got. But when Rusty dies, my grief will be pure. It will be grief for losing someone I loved completely and who loved me completely in return. Grief for losing my best friend. Grief for losing the one who taught me what unconditional love feels like. And that kind of grief, painful as it will be, is also beautiful because it's grief born from real love, from a real relationship, from something genuine and true and good. I'm writing this because I want people to know that it's okay if your real family isn't your blood family. It's okay if the beings who make you feel most loved and most accepted aren't human. There's so much pressure to make human families work, to forgive and forget, to keep trying, to maintain relationships even when they hurt you. People say things like, "But they're your family," as if that alone should be enough reason to accept poor treatment or emotional neglect. But being related by blood doesn't make someone family. Family's about how you treat each other. It's about love and support and acceptance. It's about showing up for each other. It's about making each other feel valued and safe and cherished. My dogs do that for me. My human family never did. And I'm not less than because of it. I'm not pitiable or pathetic because my closest companions have fur and tails. I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I have love in my life, real, genuine, unconditional love. Some people go their whole lives without ever experiencing that, even in families full of humans. If you're reading this and you feel the same way I do, if your dog or cat or other animal companion is the one who makes you feel most loved, please know you're not alone. Please know there's nothing wrong with you. Please know that the love you have with your animal is real and valid and beautiful. Don't let anyone make you feel like it's less than or doesn't count because it's not human to human love. Love is love. Connection is connection. Family is family, regardless of how many legs they have. My dogs have given me the gift of unconditional acceptance, and I didn't even know how desperately I needed it until I had it. I spent 60 years trying to earn acceptance from people who are never going to give it, trying to be good enough for parents who would always find fault, trying to be worthy of brothers who were never going to see me as anything more than their annoying little sister they'd left behind. I twisted myself into knots trying to be acceptable. I stayed quiet when I wanted to speak. I made myself small so I wouldn't be too much. I apologized for existing. I tried to anticipate what people wanted from me and provide it before they could criticize me for not providing it. And none of it worked. None of it was ever enough. Because the problem wasn't me, it was them. It was their inability to love without conditions. It was their belief that love should be earned through perfect behavior rather than given freely to the people in your life. My dogs taught me what unconditional acceptance actually looks like. They taught me that I could be having a terrible day, be grumpy and short-tempered, and they'd still love me. That I could make mistakes, forget things, fail at things, and they'd still think I was wonderful. That I didn't have to perform or achieve or prove anything to be worthy of affection. They taught me that I could just be. That being myself, my authentic, messy self, was not only okay, but actually desirable. That someone could know all my flaws and failures and still choose me every single day. This acceptance has changed how I move through the world. I don't apologize for existing anymore. I don't make myself small. I don't twist myself into shapes to please people who will never be pleased, because I know now what real acceptance feels like, and I won't settle for less. One of the most valuable things my dogs have taught me is how to be present, how to actually be here in this moment instead of lost in regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. Dogs are masters of presence. When Rusty is eating, he's completely absorbed in eating. When we're walking, he's fully engaged with the walk. Every smell, every sight, every sound. When we're playing, he's 100% in the game. When he's resting, he's truly at rest. He doesn't eat while worrying about whether there will be food tomorrow. He doesn't walk while replaying arguments from the past. He doesn't play while thinking about his to-do list. He's just here, now, fully experiencing whatever is happening in this moment. I used to be terrible at this. I'd eat dinner while thinking about everything I had to do the next day. I'd go for walks while mentally running through all my regrets and mistakes. I'd sit on the couch while my mind raced with anxieties and what-ifs. But watching my dogs, being with my dogs, has taught me to slow down, to actually taste my food, to notice the details of my surroundings during walks, the particular shade of green in the fields, the way light filters through clouds, the feeling of wind on my skin. To sit on the couch and just sit, feeling the warmth of dogs pressed against me, hearing the sound of their breathing. These present moments are where life actually happens, and I was missing them for 60 years, lost in my head, stuck in past hurts or future worries. My dogs brought me back to the now, and the now is actually pretty good. The now has sunshine and soft fur and wagging tails. The now has comfortable couches and good walks and the sound of content sighing when everyone finally settles in for the night. The now has love and companionship and peace. You know what I think? I think dogs understand what family really means better than most humans do. To a dog, family is simple. Family is the pack. It's the beings you live with, the ones you're loyal to, the ones you protect and care for and want to be near. It's not about blood or biology or legal ties. It's about who you choose and who chooses you. Rusty and Bella are family to each other, even though they're not related. They're family because they share a home, share a life, share me. They look out for each other. When Rusty was sick last year, Bella stayed close to him, as if keeping watch. When Bella has nightmares and wakes up whimpering, Rusty goes to her and lies down nearby until she settles. They're family because they treat each other like family, with patience, with kindness, with loyalty, with care. And they're family to me for the same reasons. We're not related, we're not even the same species, but we share a life, we share a home, we care for each other, we choose to be together. Humans complicate family with all sorts of things: expectations, obligations, old hurts, competition, judgment. We make hierarchies and keep score and hold grudges. We make family conditional on meeting certain standards or behaving certain ways or achieving certain things. Dogs don't do any of that. Their family bonds are pure, simple, based entirely on love and loyalty and choosing to be together. I think that's how it should be. I think family should be about who shows up for you, who makes you feel safe and loved, who stays by you through good times and bad. Blood might make you relatives, but love and loyalty and care make you family. And by that definition, Rusty and Bella are more my family than the people I grew up with ever were. Every morning starts the same way. I wake up, usually because Rusty's tail is already thumping against the floor. He's been awake for a while, just waiting for me to stir. The moment I open my eyes, there's his face, those soft brown eyes looking at me like I'm the most wonderful sight in the world. Bella takes a bit longer to wake up. She's usually curled in a tight ball at the foot of the bed. But once she realizes I'm awake, she stretches and yawns and comes padding up to my pillow, her little tail wagging. This is how every single day starts, with two beings who are genuinely, truly happy that I'm awake, happy that they get another day with me, happy that we're all here together again. Do you know what that does to a person? To wake up every morning to that kind of welcome? To start every day knowing that you matter to someone, that your presence brings joy? It changes everything. I used to wake up with dread, another day to get through, another day of loneliness and routine and feeling like I didn't matter to anyone. I'd lie in bed for as long as possible, not wanting to face the day. Now I wake up with wagging tails and happy faces. Now I wake up to beings who are excited about the day ahead because we'll spend it together. Now I get up because Rusty and Bella are waiting for breakfast, waiting for our morning walk, waiting to start our day. It's such a simple thing, but it's changed my entire life. Because when you start every day being reminded that you're loved, that you're valued, that your existence brings happiness to others, you can face anything. The loneliness doesn't cut as deep. The disappointments don't hurt as much. The hard moments are easier to bear. I have a reason to get up.